You stand on the edge of a woodland glade as the first light of dawn peeks over the fir trees. A thin mist still hugs the ground between the trees, and the cool air is rich with the scent of pine resin and damp earth. Somewhere close by, a woodpecker taps out a quiet rhythm on a trunk, and a frog croaks in a distant pond. The embers of last night's fire glow faintly red under a bed of ash, and a faint curl of grey smoke rises into the air. Today is a day unlike any other. Your bones tremble with a strange mixture of excitement and trepidation, as if the earth itself is holding its breath for you. You shiver lightly in your hide cloak, ears straining for any sound beyond your own heartbeat. Step by cautious step, you push out into the pre-dawn light. Your rough leather cloak brushes against ferns and bracken as you walk. Fingers trace the bark of ancient pines covered in crested moss. The forest around you is dim, but pale sky begins to wash the undergrowth in silver. Somewhere a bird begins to chirp its morning song. The river below glitters faintly through the thinning trees, a ribbon of pale light winding its way into the valley. The chill of dawn clings to your face, stirring life into the forest. A squirrel scurries in the leaf litter, unseen, and the distant scent of rotting log drifts by. Yet something inside you stirs to life as well, an instinctive prickling in your skin, a deep memory as old as the stones underfoot, waiting to be found. You remember stories told by the elders around the fire, long ago, when you were just a child. They spoke of ancestors and sky beasts from the age before memory, creatures so vast their bones were said to pierce the heavens. One by one their faces glow in your mind's eye. Grandmother, with eyes full of wisdom as she traced ghostly shapes in the smoke. Grandfather, with a voice like distant thunder as he told of a great beast whose bones turned to white stone. You recall the flickering torchlight in the cave, charcoal on the wall depicting horned skulls and long spines, images almost alive in the dancing light. They said that perhaps in the far future, maybe even this day, someone might find those slumbering giants still buried in the earth. Your heart hammers in your chest, wondering, could this be that day? Quiet as a shadow, you make your way through the reeds toward the river's floodplain. The ground here is spongy with dew, and every careful step makes a muffled thump on the damp earth. Mist curls above the water's surface like ghostly fingers. The river flows quietly and broad, painted the palest blue by the morning light. Dragonflies hover above the reeds in lazy loops, and a lone heron stands motionless on one leg by the bank. You kneel on the river's edge for a moment and let your hands cup the cool water. It swirls between your fingers with a taste of fresh stone and moss. The world seems very still, as if listening, as you drink deeply. Your breath mingles with the steam of the river. Then, at last, as your gaze drifts along the water's edge, something catches your eye. It is long and bone white, peeking from the mud where reeds part. At first, your mind tries to make sense of it: a stick, a frostbitten branch. But no twig or root is so pale. This shape is curving gently and smoothly, like the rib of a sleeping giant. Its surface gleams in the dawn light, polished by ages of wind and rain to a near sculptural smoothness. Your breath stops. The rib is enormous, several arm spans long, at least, and as thick as a man's waist. It lies half buried at the water's edge, its pale color shocking against the dark earth. A chill runs up your spine as you stand and step forward. The world around you narrows to focus on this single, impossible thing. How could such a thing be here? You kneel slowly, planting your spear for balance, and reach out with a trembling hand. The air is cold. Your breath fogs in wisps. You half expect the bone to snap back or to slide away. Instead, as your fingers touch it, the bone is hard and real smooth and cold like marble. Goosebumps rise on your arms. It feels both ancient and eerily familiar, as if recognizing your touch. You run a fingertip along its curve. Tiny grooves and pits scrape against your skin. This was part of a spine, you realize. A massive backbone. Your finger traces the direction of the creature that once moved under it, the way that mountain of muscle and skin must have been arranged. The bone is curved like a crescent, thicker at one end, tapering to a rounded point at the other. Where muscle attached, faint striations remain. You press harder, and the bone rattles a little as it shifts in the mud. The river's cold water trickles over it, stirring small eddies in the clay. Under your touch it is still, yet everything inside you trembles at what you are discovering. Slowly, with great care, you withdraw your hand. A dozen questions whirl in your mind, louder than any shout. What is this? Why is it here? Behind the bone, the river flows on, unconcerned and dumb. Beyond that, dawn is fully breaking now, painting the earth in light. The world seems too ordinary: sunlight on water, a songbird, the whisper of wind for something so extraordinary as this rib. A shiver runs through your body, and you realize that some small part of you has begun to fear this truth. Steel yourself. You grip your spear and kneel once more. With the tip, you gently probe around the bone. The mud gives way easily. A little clearing of your spear's tip reveals another fragment, a thick vertebra-like bulge adjacent to the rib. You take your time, working methodically, exposing a monstrous skeleton. Earth crumbles, revealing a long row of curved bones. Another rib arches out from the mud nearby. A huge rounded column of bone, a leg bone of unimaginable size, lies like a broken pillar beside the skeleton. They are huge. The femur's end is wider than a platter. Every new piece you see makes your heart beat faster. One thought overwhelms you. This is the skeleton of a monster. Your knees hit the ground as you lean in close. The massive curvature of another rib emerges from the mud, plunging into the bank. You follow the line upward. Then there, like a cathedral doorway, the jaws of the beast. You nearly stagger back. The skull is colossal, at least as large as a man, if not twice as tall. Its smooth, weathered cranium looms above the riverbank. The eye sockets are huge, round voids that stare blankly. You cannot see through them into any eyes, only dark emptiness and morning sky beyond. The nasal openings are two gaping holes that swallow your gaze. The creature's lower jaw lies parted at your feet, as if still open in eternal lament. Between its teeth thick, curved fangs, rust-colored mud coats, the stone, and you wonder if the last shred of time's blood once dried here. You cannot move or speak. The find is too great, too old. It anchors you in place. Your mind struggles to make sense of it. This is real. It is here, in your lifetime, just steps from the river. A cold wash flows over your face. Some deep part of you is dizzy with the implication. It is not just bones, it is proof. Proof that when you thought only of mammoths and deer, something far larger once stalked the valley. A hush falls over everything. Even the river's flow seems muted now. Your own breathing is loud, each inhale loud in your ears. You step back a pace, lean against your spear. The sun spills more light on the scene. Long shadows retreat and the skeleton's white bones gleam brightly. In the dawn's golden wash, the bones look surreal and beautiful like art left by the earth. But the gut, know it right, has roared in terror and wonder. You swallow hard. You remember a story from childhood. It came from the sky, your grandmother once said of a starfall. But this came from deep within the earth. The truth weighs on you. This cannot be a bear, not an elk, not any animal your tribe hunts. Your heart is pounding so hard that you worry it will burst out of your chest. One steady thought emerges. You must share this. You raise your eyes to the distant camp, where smoke still curls. The sun is climbing, pressing warmth on your shoulders. Now is the time to act. Slowly, deliberately, you pull yourself upright and take one last look. The sky is wide and infinite above the bones. For a moment, the eyes of the monster seem to stare back at you, empty and hollow. You step away, turned firmly toward home, carrying something tremendous in your soul. With careful steps, you retrace your path through the grasses. Sunlight filters through pine needles, striping the ground in light and shadow. Here and there, broken footprints are pressed in the mud, perhaps from early hunters. Your eyes flicker at every rock and root. You brush dew from a webbed leaf. Morning dew sparkles like gems. In these quiet moments, your mind reels. Should you bring someone to see it now, or keep the secret safe? The question burns behind your eyes as you shake your head slowly. You decide you cannot keep this to yourself. At the river's edge again, you pause and scoop up a fistful of water. It is icy and pure as it cascades down your throat. It washes the muddy aftertaste from your mouth. When you blot it on your tunic, you notice red clay from the bones still staining your fingers. The river's surface glitters ahead, sending sunlight glinting in waves through the older leaves. Reflections distort the world. Could your own face staring back show wild curiosity instead of fear? The cool water chases away some panic. Behind you, from the trail, distant shouts float on the air, your tribe stirring for the morning. Their smells of cooked meat and smoke are like a call to order. You take a steadying breath and grip your spear tighter, determination setting in. Bones by the river, you tell yourself, voice low. The words on your lips sound both unbelievable and necessary. At last, you break into a run. Branches crack underfoot as you rush up the familiar path. All around, the forest hums awake with the new day. A woodpecker drums in the distance, a chipmunk chatters, and a breeze rustles golden leaves overhead. But your mind is a drumroll of urgency. Across the meadow, you see the curled smoke and tents of camp. A surge of hope and dread grips you soon. Someone else will stand exactly where you did, looking into the same impossible truth. You burst into the clearing and move between the tents to the chief's area. The courtyard is alive with the midday bustle. One boy scrapes a hide with a flint, another offers grain to the fire to spike dinner broth. A woman kneads dough into a flat cake. In the shade of the longhouse, your grandfather sits on a furskin, carefully butchering a small deer by firelight, fingers deftly stripping flesh and organizing bones. You clear your throat as you approach. Immediately, all eyes turn. The clubman on watch grabs a spear instinctively, but stops when he sees your face pale, but not wounded. The mother at the hearth freezes, her hand raised, and the child on her lap looks confused. Even the healer's hands still in their weaving threads, and the smoke of the simmering stew seems to pause for just a heartbeat. They see something in you, an urgency or fear. Breathing hard, you force the words out. I found bones by the river. You begin, voice shaking and low. At once there is a stir, hands gasp over mouths, a pot clanks. Big bones, big as any deer or bear, you add, catching your breath. No, bigger than any creature we know. A hush falls and people lean in. From the corner of your eye you see your grandfather lower the antler he was holding. The scent of roasting meat, the normal smells of camp, suddenly feels distant. Your heart pounds. You step closer, trying to be understood. Huge, you repeat urgently. Bigger than elk, bigger than mammoth. The word mammoth passes your lips hesitantly, an echo of old stories. One arm of the crowd shivers at the name. Someone whispers it like a prayer. I knelt before one. You manage. It's a skull, empty eye sockets like two moons. The silence that follows is absolute. Even the wind seems to have stopped. Your people stand frozen, eyes locked on you. Then someone behind you grabs their child to keep them from running forward. The healer puts a gentle hand on your grandmother's arm. Together, they all follow as you start back down the path. No questions asked, no arguments. You run leading them, unsure if they'll follow, but they do. Villagers, young and old, weapons at the ready, hearts racing with what you've just said. Branches crack underfoot as the growing party rushes through the trees. Men and women trail after you, some with spears, some with prayer beads. Within a few moments, you emerge from the woods to see again the place of the bones. The afternoon sun casts the skeletal shapes into stark relief. Your leader stands tall behind you, eyes fixed on the spot you indicate with a trembling finger. Two warriors carry torches unlit. For night is approaching, though the sun still hangs warm. The healer holds a pouch of herbs tightly, and others grip knives or curved hide shields. All are alert, but none speak. They step forward slowly, keen curiosity mixed with dread. Here, you say, voice trembling, the bones here. They lean over the spot you pointed to. At first, only the tips of the bleached bones are visible among rushes and grass. Then, as the older light of afternoon hits them, more of the curved ribs appear, laid out like the cage of a sea creature entombed long ago. Fingers reach forward, running along the smooth underside of a rib. One of the warriors gives it a gentle tap with his knuckles. The hollow thud of bone as empty as a drum echoes briefly, sounding oddly loud in the quiet glade. The crowd's breath is caught. Fear and awe mingle on their faces. Soft exclamations flutter out. By the earth. Someone whispers in wonder. Others step back, crossing themselves or clutching amulets. Your grandfather, the eldest, squints against the light. He crouches and reaches out, wiping moss and sap from one of the great bones with the back of his hand. As he clears the grime, curving symbols become visible on the bone's smooth surface. Deliberate carvings, no doubt. He breathes out sharply, the exhalation nearly a grunt of disbelief. This is the bone of something far older than any of us, he says slowly, voice trembling between awe and caution. He sits back on his heels. The others hear it. These bones belong to an ancient being, one that lived when the trees were small, as he recalls the old words. His voice hums like thunder rolling in the distance. All of you lean forward to hear every low word. The air is suddenly heavy. Fear blossoms. Your grandmother sways slightly where she stands. In a quick gesture, she crosses herself with a braid of grass. It is evil, she whispers, and her words carry. The clan murmurs in agreement. Even the children behind cover their mouths. She steps forward urgently and says, "We must bury it at once. Cover it deep." Her eyes are bright with conviction. Many step back, remembering old lessons about not disturbing the bones of spirits. But from another side of the circle, a young warrior steps out. His eyes are wide with astonishment, but his voice is firm. "No," he says, raising a hand to silence the fear. "Listen to me. These bones have come to us. The Great Spirit speaks through them. I feel it in my heart. The giants have given this to us. He reaches forward and lays a firm palm on one of the vertebrae, as if feeling warmth. "We honor it," he adds, voice respectful yet brave. All falls quiet again. Fear and reverence clash. You stand uneasy, caught in the middle, spear in hand. For a moment, the tribe stands divided. Then your grandfather's brother, your chief, raises his carved staff and holds it high. His gaze sweeps the crowd. Silence returns as one might turn a page. "We must be careful," he says, voice deep and steady. "We do not know what spirit walks here. We must show respect, not fear." His tone is both wise and curious. "Step back," he orders, with the quiet authority of a leader. The tension eases as all obey, shifting back so the bones stand alone in the circle of light. From somewhere in the shade, a pouch is opened. The healer steps out with her bundle of herbs. She kneels in front of the skeleton. Eyes closed, she breaks the bundle, mostly sage and cedar, and inhales deeply. The pungent herbal smell rolls through her lungs. Then, in a soft, lilting chant, she waves the herbs in slow circles above the bones. Smoke rises, curling toward the sky like grey serpents. The wind catches it and it drifts upward, carrying the scent and the sound of her chant. It smells sharp and earth-like, full of memory and sleep. The tribe watches in reverent silence. Some cross their arms over their chests, others bow their heads. You feel a shiver run down your spine. The healer's chant in her old tongue sounds like both a prayer of thanks and a warning. Every inhale you take is filled with smoke and ancient words. For a moment, you imagine the fumes themselves carry voices. Behind the circle of men and women, the children peer around shoulders and cling to mothers. They clasp at coins or simple charms around their necks. The older boys grip their spear shafts tighter. The crackling fire's light dances across their faces. In its golden glow, the great bones look alive. Pale vertebrae loom like ghosts, and the skull's smooth dome is like the belly of the moon turned earthward. Shadows slither across the curves of each rib. In that flickering firelight, as you stare at the empty eyes of the skull, it is as if the beast is breathing again, slowly, eternally. Night falls quickly. The sky darkens to purple and stars begin to prick the sky. There are no drums or songs now, only the crackle of the vigil fire. A chill seeps into the clearing. You decide to stay with the bones through the night. Several warriors volunteer to stand watch too. Together with the chief and the healer, you build one more small fire near the skull. It is placed carefully, not too close, but enough to banish shadow from the beast's face. Around that fire, each of you sits silent, eyes never leaving the bones. Flames jump across the rib cage. For a moment, a rib glows orange, then disappears back to white under the spark. Every change in light makes the skeleton look different. At one instant, it might appear translucent, as if lit from within. The next, shadowy and ancient. Small sounds, a twig snapping in the distance, the rustle of leaves make you all start. You glance back at your companions in the fire's glow. Each of you is tense, alert. The night is full of life and mystery. An owl calls high in the pines, somewhere a wolf howls. But here in this glade, all those wild sounds feel distant, secondary. Your mind is caught by the silent witness at its center. Under the stars, you feel incredibly small. All around you, the universe is vast and unknowable. Your people sit in a tight ring, pressed near the fire and near each other. No one is interested in hunting or eating tonight. Spears and bowls lie forgotten. Everyone's face is solemn. In each heart there is both reverence and dread. You pull your furs tighter and listen to the wind in the boughs, as if it might speak. You realize that tomorrow, if at all, life will try to become normal again. But tonight is a time outside of normal life. Finally, after what feels like hours, the chief's voice breaks the silence. His tone is low and hushed in the firelight. He begins to speak of old legends. "Long ago, our ancestors told of demons sleeping in bones," he murmurs. "They told of a world when monsters roamed, and the earth still remembered their passage." You cannot quite make out all his words, but you catch phrases you knew. Spirits in bones, gifts from the earth, lessons for those who find them. The group murmurs softly, some recall the same stories, others just listen. There is a comfort in these familiar words. Your body won't rest. You turn and look at the bones and the ring of faces. Everyone is quiet, listening to the chief's soft words. The bone giant seems to watch back, silent and still. Every now and then a log snaps in the fire or a branch whispers sounds that jolt you awake. Finally, well after midnight, your eyelids grow heavy and you drift off, still seated against a tree. In dreams, it seems you walk in another world. Under an alien sky of shimmering stars, you stand on a vast plain. Something in the ground moves. From the tall grass emerges a huge beast, its bones alive again and clothed in shade. Your dream self cannot look away. It pushes itself up, revealing a monstrous creature with horns and teeth. The ground trembles under its steps. You hear its roar, a sound so deep it rattles the heavens. It spreads giant wings that seem to carve the sky. Moonlight glints off its spine. For a moment you run alongside it as it flies overhead, its cry echoing across the world. When the dream ends, you wake with a jolt, heart pounding and mind racing. Dawn comes slowly, chasing away the stars. When the pale morning light spills through the trees, you find yourself sitting up by the bones again. You rub the sleep from your eyes. A hunter next to you is still curled by the fire, snoring lightly. The chill of night has vanished. The rising sun warms your face. A hawk screeches overhead, circling down toward the river. You watch it glide, high above the treetops. The great bird's flight makes you feel strangely calm. In its eye, you imagine seeing your own wonder. Around you, the others stir as well. Someone has prepared an offering. In the dirt between the skull and ribs is drawn a large circle of lines, like a sun or wheel. Next to it are two small piles, one of smooth river stones, another of bright red berries. The healer catches your eye and smiles. She whispers, "We made a place for it to drink and eat." Her words are gentle. You glance at the pile of berries and waterskin nearby. The ritual seems simple, but deeply respectful, feeding the great spirit that once breathed here. You kneel down and gently trace the circle in the dirt with your finger. The ground is cool and gritty under your touch. The pattern is unfamiliar, but you understand its meaning. This is an offering of respect. The silence of your tribe is broken only by a woman's quiet humming. When everyone is awake, a new ritual begins. They work in pairs. Men carefully lift the giant ribs and carry them aside, filling the voids they leave with green moss and soft bark. The bones are laid as if on a bed. The only open eye sockets now are the twin circles on the skull above. A shaman woman, her face painted in white clay stripes, hums a steady chant. She gathers a circle of small white river stones around the skull. Others drape garlands of fresh green leaves and red berries over the ribs, weaving them between the vertebrae. It's as though you were decorating the remains of a king, preparing a grave with honors. Each gesture is slow and tender. By midday, 4 ribs are covered by flat stones and soil, except for the top. It appears like a blanketed tomb, with only the head of the beast poking above. You stand back, mouth slightly open. The sun glitters on half-buried bone and on the bright cloths tied around each rib. All day the camp has been steeped in silence and reverence, as if even the birds know to be quiet. The air carries the scent of earth and pine, and the smoke of small fires kindled for ritual. You breathe in the forest as though tasting it. For the first time, you realize that this experience has changed you. The forest feels alive around the bone shrine, leaves whisper overhead as if telling others of what has happened. As evening approaches, the chief gathers the tribe one last time. He tells them that tomorrow the soil will be rolled back in fully, all except the skull will be buried. The beast's face will then forever face the sky. They begin to sing a low dirge as they work. 2 voices rise and fall like the wind in the boughs. You join the quiet hum, a prayer of release. Every shovelful of earth is laid with care and respect. When the sun finally dips low, the only part of the skeleton still visible is the skull and its lower jaw. It stands white against the dark earth, as if carved from moonlight. One little girl steps forward alone. Tentatively, she reaches up and lays her small hand in one of the skull's empty eye sockets. In its black hollow, she gazes, as if speaking into it. Then she closes her eyes and listens, perhaps to an ancient heartbeat. For a moment you think she hears something. In her innocent posture there is belief, perhaps a touch of fear, but mostly wonder. You watch her, heart warming at her courage. Even if the spirits are beyond your understanding, they seem pleased. Night falls again, and around the skull the tribe holds one last vigil. By firelight, the chief, leaning on a carved staff, recounts the day's events for the youngest. Children huddle near their parents. Long ago the earth held a great beast. He begins softly, and now it has offered us its bones. We will remember this always. The little ones stare into the hollow eyes, silent. Some tug at their mother's robes. All listen as if part of a dream. Then, slowly, they begin to move. A soft music rises, a low swaying dance, hands touching fingertips, turning around the fire. Your own hand brushes against the elder to your left. The firelight stretches the dancers' shadows huge on the hills. Everyone's shadow seems to sway, merge, grow. The crackle and pop of wood combines with soft singing. It feels like a heartbeat shared across ages. In a sudden quiet moment between verses, an old man breaks off a charred stick from the fire. He kneels before the skull and draws in the sand the outline of the beast's massive head and horns. Nearby, others pick twigs and carve ribs and claws into the ash with reverence. This makeshift painting is a map of the story you all live through today, a magic picture being made in the earth itself. Finally, the flames gutter out and the last song fades. One by one, the tribe moves off to their shelters in tired silence. But you linger for a moment, standing watch over the skull as the embers glow. In your hand is the bone shard you picked up by the river. It is smooth from your pocket, a cool memory. You step near the skull and kneel. In a low whisper, you tell it about your dream, that the creature means no harm, that it has found peace at last. Only a gentle breeze answers a soft, cool sigh in your ear. You place the shard at the base of the skull's circle as a final offering. Now every fragment returned home. You lie down on the pine needle bed at the base of a tree, one hand on the cool earth. Above you, the silent skull gazes. An old sentry. Exhaustion weighs on you, and you give thanks for one more night of watch. In the deep of night, you dream again of stars. It comes clear. Among them, you trace the long-forgotten beast. Its skeleton shines as a constellation, linking one star to another in a cosmic curve. In your dream, the night sky tells the story of the creature in light. When morning comes at last, it wakes you softly. A red fox calls in the distance, and a bird sings its nesting song. You wake beneath the canopy of fir branches, the pattern of sunlight dappling your skin. On restless awareness, you pat your pockets empty. The bone shard has gone, returned to its place. You rise slowly and shake pine needles from your robes. Under the dawn light, the bones have found peace beneath the earth, and so have you. All around, the forest begins to hum back to life, as it always does, but something feels different in the air. It is as if the trees themselves pause thoughtfully. The brook bubbles by in its familiar way, but today you hear in it a new note, one of quiet wonder, joining with the memory of an ancient time. Before leaving, you press a hand to your chest and make a vow. One day, you tell yourself, you will return to this riverbend with a grandchild on your knee. There, you will retell the story of this day. You will point out the spot where you knelt and where these great bones once lay, speaking of the bone giant of legend. And maybe, just maybe, on a clear night far in the future, some wise child will see a faint constellation in the sky that will remind them of this lesson from a long-lost time.